Hi, welcome to Politics Knoxville. I'm Stacey Campfield. With me today is Mayor Bill Haslam. Bill, good to have you here.
Good morning, Representatives. Good to be here.
Good to be here. Just for the people out there, obviously you're running for governor.
I am. Been announced, I think, January 6th, and it feels like it's been a sprint ever since then, but it's a long sprint.
Only a year and a half. No, only a year and a half to go. Plenty of time. But
I know we're going through all these series of Lincoln Day dinners. You know, the Republican Party has them all through the state and in every county. And I was thinking, okay, we'll do all these again next year, and when we do, the election will still be 5 months away.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit. Why are you running? You know, minute or two. Why are you running for governor? Excuse me. Why? What's your priorities?
I think to me, as you know, the state faces a lot of challenges. I think there's three key, I think to run for any office, you have to answer three questions. One, are you personally willing to do it? Two, can you win? And three, what's needed right now? And in my mind, the state has three key needs that I think I can help, and that's hopefully you run not just because you want to be in an office, but because you think you can make a difference. Number one's a budget challenge. I don't need to tell you anything about it. We're $1.1 billion short in a budget that ends the fiscal year, I guess, 67 days away. We're going to be helped out, as you know, by the $5 billion almost in stimulus money we're getting. But I know, as you're aware, that's one-time money, and it's going to go away. And we're going to fix recurring needs with one-time money, and that's a recipe for problems no matter what business you're in. So 2 years from now, when the next governor comes in, we're going to have some serious budget issues to deal with. And having been a mayor, having been in business, I understand how to manage hard budgets. Since I've come into office in Knoxville, our rainy day fund is 3 times what it was when we came in. Our debt is 25% lower. The city has the highest credit rating ever. Our budget this year will be less than the budget 2 years ago was. So I understand how to manage in tough budget situations. That's challenge one. Number two is creating jobs. We don't have an income tax in the state of Tennessee. That's a good thing, okay? And as long as I have anything to do with it, we won't have one. But if we're not, we've got to figure out ways to grow the business. You've got to bring new revenue into the state. Well, the best way to do that is to grow jobs. And again, having a background in private business, having done that in Knoxville, I think I have a good handle on how to do that. Third key challenge is education. You know, K-12, we rank, depending on what poll you look at, but 40 to 45th out of 50 states. If we're going to attract jobs, if we're going to have a healthy state, we can't be there in education. So we can talk about more of each of those if you want.
We're going to hit them all. That's good. So, you know, what I'm going to try and do is try and keep this short answer. You know,
sure. A
lot of these are yes, no type answers, so I ask you to keep your answers to like 10 seconds or less so we can get through many of these as we can. You talked about taxes earlier and the impending fiscal crisis. There are a lot of issues dealing with how are you going to handle money, where are you going to get money from, a lot of free market issues a lot of people have questions on. So we're just going to run down through them and see if you support, would you ever support, have you ever supported, you know, have you ever supported an income tax? You talked about an income tax. Would you ever support it?
No. State, you're talking about a state income tax.
Yes, a state income tax.
Which, to clarify, as everybody knows, we have that in the form with the whole income tax now, but no, I would never be for a state income tax.
Increase in the tax on food.
An increase in the tax on food, I don't think so. Of course, one of the things we have to look at is what all we have exceptions. I know you want short answers, but nothing. But I don't think that's the right answer to our problem.
Okay, toll roads.
Again, I know you want short answers. Here's the problem: we have a looming problem with how we fund bridges and roads. In that, every vehicle now gets way better mileage, and so the funds we used to we're paying on a per gallon basis.
So would you support them, not support them? So you're open to the idea?
Well, I think we're going to have to fund roads and bridges differently going forward than we do now. And anybody that doesn't think that 10 years from now that we can fund them the way we do now, I think is kidding themselves.
So you're open to it?
I think it's a possibility, but it wouldn't be my preferred choice. Toll roads would be down the list, but again, I think anybody that's being realistic has to say we're going to have to do something different 10 years from now than we do now.
One of the big questions talking about funding roads in the legislature right now is where we get our money. And right now it's the gas tax.
Right.
Right now it is based on a per gallon price, a set fee. A lot of people say we should change that to a % of the sale price. Are you opening to making a change to making it a % of the sale price instead of a set fee per gallon?
Well, I think, again, remember this, I was at Nissan 2 days ago. They're rolling out a new electric vehicle. Those guys are driving for free, okay? You're going to have to look at how we fund roads and bridges differently. I mean, everybody, I bet if we polled your listening audience and said, what are you driving now compared to what you drove 10 years ago, I bet they're getting 20% better mileage. I just bet they are. I mean, on average, people are getting that much better. So how we funded our roads can't keep going the same way.
So you would be open to changing, adjusting that a little bit?
I think you're going to have to. I mean, again, the people that drive electric vehicles, are they driving for free?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, fair question, right? I mean, 10 years from now, that'll be some portion of the people on the road.
Okay. A little while ago, there was a mention of a statewide property tax, trying to make that, pushing that idea forward.
Bad idea.
Okay.
Let me ask you, we're not going to work our way out of the problem that we have in Tennessee by adding new taxes, whether it be an income tax, a statewide property tax. I just don't think that's the answer. I mean, our surrounding states that do have multiple forms of taxation, including income tax, are in as bad or worse shape than we are.
Do you see any areas where you might say, hey, let's increase fees on certain products, remove tax exemptions for certain groups for certain things?
I certainly don't have any of those in mind. No, I can't point to anything like that makes sense.
Okay.
Now, I will say this. We do have to be careful on the state legislature of saying, and state administration of saying, we're going to continue to have exemptions from the sales tax. If that's the only base of revenue we have come in, and the more things we exempt, then you got a problem there somewhere.
Okay. Another big issue with a lot of people, a lot of conservative voters who are pretty much people you're going to, is the gun issue.
Right.
There are several bills coming through, working their way through. I don't think any of them have completely passed yet in the legislature. I just want to see where you stand on legally permitted handgun owners being able to carry in state parks.
I think the state legislature should make the call on whether it happens in state parks. You know, I know there's also the bill about, allowing them in city and county parks.
That's my next question.
I know. Well, okay. I think in state parks that should be a state legislature's call. I mean, that's who has.
Well, if you're governor, you would be able to say yay or nay, final veto power. Would you support that legislation?
I think in those state parks I would, mainly because the difference you have, municipal parks, you have everything from ball fields to much different situation than you do in state parks.
In local parks, would you support legislation to make people able to carry in local parks, or are you in support of making it local optional, so where that they can say yes, maybe in these parks, but no, maybe not in others, and make it an opt-out instead of an opt-in?
As a mayor, I'm in favor of the opt-in. Okay. And again, it's about, one of the things I know that you have concerns, all of us do, is who should tell who what to do. You don't want the federal government saying, okay, states, here's what you should do, and whether they give you money for it or not. As local governments, we don't feel like the state should tell us, here's what you should do, and not give us money for it. So I think passing something like that's fine as long as it's an opt-in and not an opt-out, because again, I believe in local. The closer to home government is, the better it is. Okay. I just believe that fundamentally.
What about allowing carry permit holders to carry in restaurants that serve alcohol?
Well, I think what's up now is to allow them to do that with the exception of age restricted, and then I think there's a curfew from 11.
Those are right now. They're being stripped out. Last I heard, they're stripped out.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
So.
I thought those were still in. I have some concern about a late night bar situation and people with handguns in there. I'd like to see how that bill ends up working its way out.
Okay. Education. Now, we talked about education being an important issue. And a lot of it, a governor can shape legislation or push legislation that he's in favor of to change, dramatically change the educational system.
Right.
There's all sorts of different issues and ways we can possibly change education. Do you support school choice for children in failing schools, being able them to opt out, say one school is bad and failing, you could opt in, go to another school, maybe in a different part of town?
I think choice is good, okay? And I would actually start with a different question than what you did. I'd actually start with charter schools, and we have way too restrictive a policy around charter schools now. And I think the data proves that charter schools are a helpful add to the total education deal. The school choice in terms of if your school is failing, allowing children to go somewhere else, I think in circumstances that could be right. But I will say this, the governor's key job is to fix failing schools.
Yeah.
Okay,